Hey everyone, and welcome back to Joey's Retro Newscast, where I go over the top news of the last week in retro handhelds, retro gaming, and just gaming in general. Lots of news this week, and some good news, so let's just jump right in. My absolute favorite news of the week, and RetroAchievements are coming to GameCube on Dolphin on July 15th at 5 p.m. Eastern. There is a long list of 86 games and pretty much all of the big GameCube games that you'd want that are going to be available on day one. Wind Waker is the notable exception for big games that isn't going to be ready on day one, but there's a long list of games that are in development and should be ready at some point in the future. Another unfortunate part is this is not coming to Android on day one. This will be Windows and Linux only for the foreseeable future, I guess, until they develop it for Android. So if you're looking to do this, you're going to need an x86 device of some sort. As far as I know, the dev build should have this on Monday, I guess when this releases. So you just have to swap over to that build to be able to get this update, but they should release more information closer to the time. So personally, I am irrationally excited for this, and I have my GPD Win 4 completely set up with all of my GameCube games, and I'm ready for Monday to hit, so I can start playing them and getting my retro achievements because, as I'm sure you know from following this channel, I really like retro achievements. First games on my list are Super Mario Sunshine and Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. For those joining me on Monday, what is the first game that you're going to go for? Or games, maybe, if you're like me. Shad PS4, which is an upcoming PS4 emulator, is now booting Bloodborne on PC. A lot of news outlets are running wild with the title here and saying it's playable and all that sort of thing, but it just boots to the title screen, which is an accomplishment in itself, but isn't something that you need to care about right now. It's not playing Bloodborne. You can't do anything with it. It boots to the title screen. That's great. That's awesome. But let's not overreact to the news and create a whole bunch of different headlines that aren't correct. The reason I mention this is don't get fooled by any links that you see about playable PS4 emulators anywhere. Doesn't exist. I think we all saw this coming, right? I mean, I saw it coming, but I'm sure a lot of you have. But Sudachi has been DMCA'd by Nintendo. Their GitHub is gone, and the developer is trying to fight to bring it back, saying that there's no illegal content within it and all that sort of thing. So another Switch emulator kind of bites the dust here. I just don't see it going well for any Switch emulators right now, and I'm guessing that there's probably a few of them that are maybe hidden and working on it, and then it'll release something when it's probably closer to release or ready for release and that sort of thing, just in case this happens. But for some reason, Ryujinx is one that has escaped every single Nintendo DMCA. That's good for us, but I'm wondering for how much longer. There has been some rumblings about CMU coming to Android for some time now, and CMU is the Wii U emulator on PC. There's been new rumblings because of a post that shows that it is in development and has been, as we know, and it looks like it might be at least a year away from any sort of release on Android. If previous estimated dates by devs are anything to go by, I would probably add another 6 months to a year on top of that estimation. But who knows? We don't know how close it is. You can follow the project through the GitHub and maybe try and compile it yourself if that's available and see how far they've gotten, but it's good to know that it is coming at some point in the future. Is anybody developing a PS2 emulator out there? Maybe something close to release? That's what I want to know. There's a new turnip driver out there, R20, and from what I saw on Reddit at least, seems like it fixes a few different glitches and textures and things like that, but I don't know. This is something that you're probably going to have to test on a game-by-game basis, and that's just exhausting. I'll just play on my Switch. But for those of you that are in that sphere of Nintendo Switch emulation and you enjoy testing different turnip drivers for different games, then feel free to go test out this one and see how it is and report back. Jumping over into device news now, and the ZPG A1 Unicorn is now on AliExpress for $130 plus shipping, which was about $12 to Canada. I think the plus shipping really hurts it because the Cube shipped from Go Game Geek, which is the cheapest that you can buy it from right now, is about $155. So it puts it within spitting distance of the Unicorn, basically, pricing-wise. My unicorn would have been here already, and I would have had my review out already if Canada Post didn't decide to return to sender on my review unit. So I am now waiting for a new one to come, or might just buy this one if it'll be faster. I don't know, but gonna keep waiting. I have just not had any good luck with review units lately. But on the topic of the unicorn, is $140 worth it to you? I don't know. I guess it'll be up to you, and I can't make that decision either because I don't have one. So I can't tell you how good or bad it is. But if you're interested, maybe buy one. Remember the Magic XU Mini? The little micro handheld made by Magic X that is going to be coming out next week, so you'll be able to order it next week. Well, there's some pictures of the finished shell and what it looks like and all of that, and I guess the big news is that it'll be available for order next week. We now have a price of $49 via AliExpress, so pretty much on the cheap end as well, which is good to see. I don't have one of these coming, and I'm not going to review it probably. It's not something that I care about, and no Wi-Fi, or else I would probably jump in. So for anybody else that might be interested in this, then check it out, but curious what your thoughts are if you do get it. The ground isn't even cold yet on the Neo Pocket S, and a lot of people still haven't received their shipments of the Pocket S, but that does not stop the Neo train for new devices. They just announced a new Android handheld using the same G3X Snapdragon chip. It has a 7-inch 1080p OLED 120Hz screen, which is beautiful. There's Hall sticks and triggers, and they're full-size sticks. It has an 8,000 something milliamp hour battery, so pretty much the same as an Odin 2. And it's a very beefy device. They sort of crammed everything that you would want and need in an Android device, and what community has been asking for, into it, hardware-wise at least. The problems still seem to be software, which a lot of the Pocket S users are dealing with on the iNeo Discord. I seem to frequent it quite a bit, and I just see all kinds of issues there. So that's one thing. The second thing is definitely price. This is going off of Pocket S pricing. This has got to be at least $500 and above. And I know there's a lot of people out there that have a maximum number of money that they'll spend on an Android device just because of how limited we are and what it can do. And I'm starting to think that I think this is past what I would personally spend on an Android device, but it looks so good for what it has. I wonder how many people just canceled their Pocket S shipments because it hasn't shipped yet and they saw this come out and they're like, I want that instead. And then next month they'll cancel the Evo for the Pocket S2, and then they'll cancel the Pocket S2 for the Evo 2. You know what I mean? It just, maybe they should spread this out a little bit more. Ambernick and Neo, the two A's, just for some reason are going completely too much on releases. Like, give us some time to at least enjoy the devices before you're like, hey, this is replaced already. Either way, all kidding aside, the device looks good. It's probably going to be expensive and all that sort of thing. So if you're interested, keep an eye on it. By the time of this video, the Ambernick RG40XXH is live for order, and you can buy it directly from Ambernick's website or linked in the description if you like. The price is $65 plus shipping for the first 3 days, and then it goes up to $69 or $70 after that. I am still weeks away from any sort of review or review unit on my part. I think it just shipped out or something like that from Go Game Geek, so I'm far behind when it comes to review on this, but I also don't much care. It is a 35XXH with a smaller battery and a little bit more of a screen. Do you guys care as much as I don't know. It's so hard to continually care about little incremental releases that are 3, 4, 5 months over the other one. Like, it's just, what's next at this point? What are we doing next? Can we just move on maybe from the H700 to something else? Can we do something new, like the clamshell? That was new. It used the same processor and all of that, but it was new. It was exciting, and they sold a lot. Maybe try something like that again with something else. I don't know, but this isn't it for me. But I did just discover that my 35XXH's battery bulged out of its shell. And so, naturally, I threw that into the garbage because that's a fire hazard, and I do not want that. So now I'm waiting for this 40XXH to just be my, I don't know, small horizontal Ambernic device that will look nice on my shelf. Probably the weirdest handheld that I think you're going to see this week or maybe this year, but Powkiddy has an RGB 20 Pro coming. It has a 3.2-inch screen, 4:3 aspect ratio, 1024 by 768 resolution, and that's all we know. But it looks like they took an RGB 20 and then stretched the bottom, and this is just like somebody was staring at a TV remote and they're like, what if that was a handheld? And then they made this. I don't know what to say about this one. I'm sure some of you out there are excited about this somewhere and you'll yell at me in the comments, but I mean, this is weird for the sake of weird and not weird for the sake of good, in my opinion. However, the use of a high-resolution screen is good, even if it is on a 3.2-inch screen, which kind of useless at that point, but it seems like Magic X is using the exact same screen on that HD unit that we saw last week. So it seems like that might be getting passed around, but I think it just needs to be bigger. 3.2 inches is just too small, all puns intended. And I think we just need 4 inches at least. Like, come on, if it's going to be an HD screen like this, give us some real estate to work with. If my videos have been helping you, consider supporting me on Patreon, or just give this video a like and a sub. You can also come join me on the Discord where we talk about all of these retro handhelds. Last news of the day, and it kind of sucks, but Microsoft is deciding to pretend to be like Netflix when it comes to their Game Pass subscription. I'm using Netflix in a very negative way here. They are raising prices and taking away features from Game Pass. Here's the gist of it. There is a new Game Pass tier launching in September, but it doesn't include day one releases, and it doesn't include cloud gaming, but it does include online play, and it'll be $14.99 US, and it's called Standard. The previous tier was called Console, and that's being discontinued for any new users as of September, while existing users can maintain the benefits and their sub if they want, and that won't go away if you're an existing user. Game Pass Ultimate pricing is going up to $20 US a month, and PC Game Pass pricing is going up to $12 US a month. From September 14th, you can also only stack up to 13 months of Game Pass for console users. Look, the general gist is prices went up, features went back, and Microsoft isn't still doing anything to try and win back any users or make any headway in this space because it just keeps getting worse for them. I'm somebody lucky enough that I've paid ahead, thanks to discounts and all of that, for up to January 2026 for my subscription. So I don't have to worry about these price increases until then. And by then, there'll probably be 2 more, if I'm guessing. I've been on the record many times for saying that Game Pass is probably one of the best values in gaming that you can do. However, that only matters if you actually use it. From this announcement, I went back and I'm like, do I use my Game Pass subscription enough to justify these costs if I had to pay them? And I went back and I looked, and the answer is no. I played a whole bunch of different games in the last year on Game Pass, but if I added it all up, I would have saved money by just buying the games directly, and then I would own them as well. Another annoying issue is I was in the middle of playing Persona, which I started on my PS4 or PS5, moved the save over to PC, played on Game Pass, and then Game Pass is like, no, we don't have that anymore. No more Persona. So I had to move that to Steam where I bought it on Steam. So that save has been just around and around. But either way, it was really annoying to be in the middle of a playthrough and then just gone. So I think at this point, seeing these increases and trying to justify $20 US per month for a year, I'll probably just buy the games at this point. But very long story short, maybe before September 14th, check to see how much you actually use Game Pass and if it's actually worth it to you. Because if it isn't, then maybe just buy the game separately and save some money. I really like Game Pass, I really, really do, but I hate paying more for less. Just not something that sits well with me. By the way, did I miss a topic that you wanted to hear discussed? Top comment with the words Newscast topic will be featured on next week's show. That's all from me, Tallahassee.